Islam Makhachev just submitted Dustin Poirier, and we saw this coming. We got a prediction right. Again, we still haven't missed on this channel, but it was exactly what we expected. Islam Makhachev, insane grappling. The takedowns were not as crazy as we might have thought he was. Honestly, Islam had a staph infection look like on his shin, and I kind of saw it today. It didn't look like the best version of Islam, but Islam is still miles better than Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, if anything, it just showed how versatile Islam Makhachev is, because, you know, it's hard not to make the Khabib versus Makhachev comparison, but Khabib was able to do whatever he wanted with Poirier in terms of the grappling, and Makhachev couldn't, but he was still able to adjust, and the counter-striking from Makhachev was incredible, especially from a guy who has a grappling background.
Yeah, it was only the second round and then that elbow that Poirier landed that I felt like Poirier had a good, almost like situation or scenarios with Makhachev, but even on the feet, I know everyone's going to say that Poirier is a better striker, but regarding MMA striking, not just boxing striking, it's clear that Makhachev is better. Makhachev has better kicks. When you mix in the wrestling, he was popping Poirier a lot. If you don't remember, in the first like 10 seconds of the fight, Makhachev just absolutely popped Poirier. And you know, you got Joe Rogan, who's Dustin Poirier's best friend, who's gonna say as soon as the fight's over, oh, it was a close fight. It wasn't a close fight. The only reason people might think it was a close fight was because Poirier has that power on the feet and has like you on your edge of your seat for pretty much the whole fight.
Yeah, because you know, he also cut him. So just like looking at their faces, people might be like, oh, that was like a really close fight. There's a difference between a competitive fight and a close fight, and this one was competitive, but Makhachev was on his way to a 50-45 decision until he got the choke.
Yeah, and we saw, I also want to point one thing out. I'm sure everyone saw it. Poirier's best moments were him smacking Makhachev into the body when Makhachev would clinch him.
Oh, yeah.
I promise you right now, Islam Makhachev has a drill in training where he clinches somebody up and someone is just hitting the bejesus out of his body. Those body shots that Poirier was doing, which was his biggest successes in the fight, other than like a left hand he landed in the 5th round, those body shots were doing nothing to Makhachev. I think Makhachev today was not his best version of himself, just health-wise, but his striking on the feet is really good. He was aware of Poirier's right hand the entire fight. He was very cautious, almost used his left hand as a sniper, because he knows that Poirier's best weapon was the right hook, the lead right hook, so he kept it there. I saw Makhachev doing a lot of work in the clinch, and let's talk about that submission sequence, because I have never seen an ankle pick or a takedown like that ever in my life.
Yeah, that was an incredible takedown. It was funny because during the fight, he mentioned, he was like, whoa, that was crazy, and the commentators were like, wow, that was a crazy takedown. But Makhachev being able to submit him that quickly just shows how great he is in the grappling. But again, Makhachev is a grappler, and he wasn't able to execute his game plan, but was still able to win the fight. And I even told him prior to the fight, do you want to, I bet you that Makhachev will outstrike Poirier. And he was like, I'm not going to take you on that bet. Because we both know that Makhachev has good striking, but I didn't expect him to have such great head movement and such great counters.
Yeah, Poirier was good at defending the submissions on his back. He almost got submitted within like the first 3 minutes of the fight. Makhachev almost got a shoulder lock on him, but he had a nice guillotine at the end of the fight, which was an incredible guillotine. We're not big submissions guys, so we're not going to be able to dive in like that. But with the striking, I guess we could. But with the submission, it was such a great takedown. I've never seen anything like it, and he took him down. And I think with strikers, I don't see any striker beating Islam Makhachev. If you think Gaethje's going to beat Makhachev, you have another thing coming, because Poirier's got better jiu-jitsu than Gaethje, and he held on for as long as he could, and then he got submitted. Gaethje has nowhere near the submission. I mean, once he's on the ground, he's a fish out of water.
Yeah, you know, when you're talking about the striking, Makhachev did a great job countering that jab. He just kept slipping over to the outside and throwing the overhand, and that was what he caught him with in the first round. That did stun Poirier a little bit.
Yeah, and then with the clinch work, Islam's clinch work is incredible. I'm pretty sure that Islam saw that Oliveira had a lot of success in the clinch against Poirier, and he replicated that. He was not nearly as successful as Oliveira was against Poirier. I don't know exactly why, but Oliveira gets a lot closer, and Oliveira's knees he's so flexible with his hips where he can get those knees in those tight spaces. But, you know, Poirier, he had a good fight in terms of he was pressuring Islam the whole time. But if you're talking about actual work done, he was not a competitive fight. So moving on to what the future might hold, unless you have any more thoughts.
Yeah, I was just going to say with the clinch, Makhachev seemed to want to control Poirier, while Oliveira was more concentrated on getting his hands locked and then just shooting knees at him. But kind of like what you were alluding to a little bit earlier, Makhachev and Poirier, it was a competitive fight, but you could definitely see that there were levels there. I definitely think that when it comes to the lightweight division, you have the Makhachev, Oliveira, Sarukian, and maybe you could add Gaethje into that top level of lightweights, and then you have kind of Poirier leading the pack of people who just aren't quite there in terms of being championship level.
Yeah, and I think that Islam, I know Islam's better than Khabib. Khabib never was striking like Islam did. I know some Khabib fanboys are going to say that Khabib finished him faster. I mean, Islam had a bad staph infection. Go look at what happened to Saint Denis when he fought Poirier with the staph infection.
Yeah, but you would never see Khabib using that head movement, doing counters like that. And I think we've referred to this before. Volkanovski and Oliveira would have been terrible matchups for Khabib.
Yeah, and moving on to the future of Makhachev. He wants to fight Leon next. I think it's a little early still for 170. I think he gets whooped by Leon, let's be honest, our buddy Leon. But I think it's a little early. And I think that he needs to fight Arman, and I think the Oliveira rematch should be something that should be considered. The reason I say the Oliveira rematch is because Arman's coaches already say that the fight versus Islam is a bad matchup for Arman. They think that Islam's a bad matchup for their guy, their pupil, which is not a good sign. And Oliveira, I think if he goes into the fight like Poirier did, because a lot of people are going to say Poirier had a lot of success, I can see that in the sense that Poirier almost had a couple moments and had belief the entire time that he could beat Makhachev. Having belief is important. I think with Oliveira fighting Makhachev with nothing to lose, because last time he had everything to lose, I think Oliveira is a dangerous matchup because he's not going to be afraid of the takedowns, he's good on the ground, and he has the power on the feet.
Well, like you were saying with Sarukian, I think if I remember correctly, that his coaches said that he needs another year to prepare for Makhachev. So maybe you do throw Oliveira in there. But I do agree with you. I think 170, it's pretty early. I mean, when you look at fighters that Makhachev has actually defended his title, his lightweight title against, it's Volkanovski twice, who obviously is a featherweight, and then Poirier, who didn't deserve the title shot. So where are all the lightweights? Where are all the deserving lightweights? They're not quite there. So I definitely think shooting for the welterweight title and trying to get champ is a little early. He definitely needs to clean out his division more. I mean, you have Oliveira again, who's a possibility, Sarukian again, and maybe Gamrot. I don't think Gamrot's that level, but if Gamrot gets a good win, you can definitely put him in the picture.
But he lost against Beneil Dariush. Everyone seems to have beaten him now at the top. So, but Islam-Leon would be an interesting fight, but I think Islam should stay at the lightweight division. Now moving on to the co-main event. We're not going to give you guys much because it was not a great fight because Paulo Costa likes to back up and Sean Strickland just went at him. The only details I'm going to give about this fight is that Sean Strickland just went forward, and if Costa never, I guess he must not believe in his power. He must believe in Strickland's power because he never just planted his feet and stood in the pocket. It never did.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like one of those fights where you have one guy backing up and the other one trying to engage. I definitely don't blame Strickland for how that fight went, but Costa was just backing up. It just seemed like he couldn't find any shots on him. So that's why he kept backing up. He just couldn't find any openings because Sean Strickland is so solid defensively that it just ended up being a boring fight. But you could definitely tell that Sean Strickland was the better fighter, constantly pushing forward, and backing up like that for 5 rounds is definitely going to tire you out.
Yeah, and all I'm going to say about that fight is UFC stop giving Costa top 5 ranked opponents.